Hey y'all, welcome to the Sabrina Scott podcast, where I teach y'all how to claim your magic and change your life. And I hope everyone's doing good with the energy of the full moon still creeping around. If you guys did not listen to that episode yesterday, you definitely should. Just some vibes y'all should know about. But for today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the 3 workshops, masterclasses, combo situations that I am teaching next month. And I'm calling this trio of classes my winter workshop series. Actually, that's not true. I'm calling it my winter learning series. There you go. And there's so many reasons why I am offering these, and I just want to talk about that for a sec. So I guess the first one is that winter always makes me think of just being cozy in bed, and I feel like this time of year, I know it's not winter for all of you guys. Shout out to my Australians and my New Zealanders and all y'all. High five to you guys. But I can't separate this time of year from winter, seeing as that's the only context I've ever lived in. And for me, the winter time is such a time of reflection, contemplation, going inwards, being slow, intentionally slow, just contemplating, learning, reading. I take a lot of courses around this time. I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of reflecting. I do a lot of planning. And for me, it's just a time of leaning back and receiving information so that by the time the summer hits, my output can just explode and I can put everything that I've learned into practice. For some reason, the really long days in the summer really energize me, and I find myself a little bit more sleepy in the wintertime and more into just learning and taking classes and all of that type of stuff. And the main themes for these workshops, these masterclasses, I would sum it up as love, tarot, and protection. Obviously, February is love month. Valentine's Day is around the corner, and I don't know about you guys, but my whole life, Valentine's Day and February as a whole has been this time of year that's always inspired me and nudged me to really consider and reflect on the role of love in my own life. Whether that is self-love or whether that's romance or sex or friendship or family or pets. I'm just always thinking about love this time of year, and I love the ritual of thinking about love and my relationship to it every February. And unfortunately, for many women, when we are thinking about love and sex and all of these things, unfortunately, protection is something that generally comes up. It can feel and be very unsafe for women to put themselves out there, and I think it's a very, very different situation for women than it is for men. I'm just going to say that straight up. And I think the numbers bear that out in terms of statistics on who tends to commit violence against women. Generally speaking, it is not women. And I don't want to get into the weeds about all of that, as that's not really what this episode is about. But I wanted to mention it just because it is part of why I'm offering this protection magic class alongside these 2 other classes about love, right? Because I think it might be easy to just look at this trio of classes and be like, oh, you're teaching tarot for love and relationships, you're teaching love magic 101, and then randomly you're teaching protection magic 101. Like, how does that fit in? Well, this is how that fits in, because it's just a very important thing. I know throughout my life, especially my early 20s, protection magic and dealing with love and relationships and dating they went hand in hand. It was like two sides of the same coin, having to do protection magic to, in some cases, get people who were stalking me to literally move out of the city. And yes, that is magic that I successfully did. I can't guarantee that you will get those results if you need them, but I will teach you everything I know in that class about how to do that type of protection magic, whether it's around love and romance gone wrong and someone being sketchy and dangerous, or whether it's around other things that are a little bit more mundane, right? Because protection magic, it can be something that we do around serious things, but it can also be the simple things, right? Like protection magic is also, it doesn't have to be that wham pow big ritual. It can also be what you do as the kind of the magical equivalent of brushing your teeth. And of course, my disclaimer here is I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm not a lawyer or a doctor. I'm not a lawyer or a doctor or anything like that. So if you are in a situation that is at a crisis point and you need to access additional resources like police or lawyers or, social work or domestic violence shelters that will help you get out of a bad situation, obviously, please lean on those supports. What I do and what I teach is in no way a substitute for that. I like to think of what I do as being a part of a larger community of care, a larger ecosystem of care, and an ecosystem of support. And as I've been through all my ups and downs in life, spirituality has been one of those things, if not the biggest thing, that has really gotten me through some of those harder times. And so that's what I want to bring to you guys in that protection magic workshop. So let's just go through what these are. And I just want to let you guys know what the schedule is as well. So the other thing about this, if those of you who've been following me for a long time will know, I do record these classes. And so if you can't attend live, that's totally cool. You can still get access to the recording if you sign up. So don't let the time throw you off, because I know everyone is in a different time zone. But all right, so number 1, Tarot for Love and Relationships. I'll be teaching that Wednesday, February 7th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Love Magic 101 will be Tuesday, February 13th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And Protection Magic 101, I'll be doing that Saturday, February 24th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And one thing you should also know is that I'm doing a package deal for all 3 sessions. So each session individually is $250. But if you grab all 3 sessions, it is $575. And so that is only like $190 a class. So I think it ends up being almost buy 2, get 1 free, like almost. So that I think is pretty exciting. And I also have some payment plans for anyone who does want to do that package deal, because I know that sometimes we need that. So Tarot for Love and Relationships, let's talk about this one first. So this session is for you if you aren't sure if the Lovers or the Two of Cups is a better card for romance. I'm so curious where you guys are at on that. That one is, I'm not even going to get into it. I could do a whole episode on that. I could talk about the difference between the two for like ever, but it's definitely a sign that you could be developing your skills a lot further when it comes to this. Tarot for Love and Relationships is also for you if you turn to your cards to ask about your love life, but you always end up kind of stressed out, insecure, and confused instead of having so much clarity after your reading and a clear plan forward. Ideally, every tarot reading, if you do it properly, in my opinion, there should be a clear plan forward. You should know what you're doing next and why you're doing it and how to avoid the quagmire that you are currently in, if you are indeed in a quagmire that inspired you to read. So if you find yourself not having clarity after your readings, if you find yourself being stressed out after your readings, this session is for you. This session is also for you if you don't know if the reversed King of Cups is a good sign or not in a love reading. It's also for you if you are not sure how to interpret the balance of suits in a reading to assess a couple's emotional, sexual, intellectual, and financial compatibility. Or if the reading is showing you that the relationship is significant or just a random nothing. Because sometimes we can mistake the random nothing type of relationship, hookup, or connection for something that is actually like bigger. And I've seen this so many times where people will have this very intense infatuation with somebody, and they'll be obsessed and be like, oh my God, I know this is my soulmate. But all we're getting is cards that are telling us that it's just a flash in the pan. And so knowing how to read for this is really important. If you don't know how to do that, then this workshop is for you. If you aren't sure what questions to ask or how to ask them when it comes to love-based readings, Tarot for Love and Relationships is for you. If you're new to tarot and want to learn more, if you have some experience but the whole love and tarot thing, you're confused. And I get it. It's a really hard topic to read for. Interestingly, it's the most common thing that I will read for clients about, but it is one of the harder things to read for just because there's so many emotions kind of swept up when we ask about love. It tends to be a lot of people's insecure or fearful part of our lives, right? Like we want it to be going well, and if it's not, it can be really stressful. So learning how to read tarot for this particular topic in a way that keeps us emotionally sober can be a little bit challenging, and that's part of what I want to teach y'all in this session. So if you do want to work with tarot to gain insight into your dating, sex, and romantic life, this session is for you. And if you find yourself doing love readings for other people and you're kind of not too sure how to do that better than you're currently doing it, then you'll definitely get a lot out of this session. So among other things in Tarot for Love and Relationships, I'll be teaching about the cards that bode very well for love, sex, and relationships, and also the cards that don't bode super well. And these will probably be a little bit counterintuitive. These are not just going to be the obvious cards that you're thinking of. I'll also be teaching how to read and interpret the court cards as potential suitors, how to do a tarot reading for yourself to figure out what the hell you're doing wrong in your love life, and what you should probably do instead. I'll also be teaching ways to set up love readings both for yourself and others so you can get information that's actually grounding, clear, and actionable rather than confusing and maybe even depressing. I'll also be talking about how to pivot from a reading that is depressing, because sometimes it's true, sometimes the reading is depressing. And so sometimes the cards will tell you that someone is a really bad fit for you, someone doesn't mean well, someone's trying to fuck with you, and this might leave you absolutely heartbroken. And don't worry, I've been there, I totally get it. And so over my years of reading for myself and others, I've been in this tarot thing for like 20 years now, if not longer, 24 years, 25 years. I'll teach you how to deal with that situation, what to ask your cards next, and how to interpret your next steps. I'll also teach how to read each of these suits and the major arcana in a love, sex, or relationship reading. This is super important. I'll also mention cards that hint at cheating, polyamory, dishonesty, addiction, childhood trauma, and other shadow sides of relationships. Not often very sexy to talk about, but we got to, and there's definitely cards that hint at these things, right? So when you know those and you can see those when they come up in a reading, everything kind of makes a lot more sense. I'll also talk, this is crucial, about how to read tarot about love in ways that keep you connected to your personal agency and your own ability to make choices. No passivity, like when will my soulmate find me kind of stuff here. And I'll be teaching how to frame your relationship to tarot readings and any kind of spiritual work really about this stuff instead. So I want you guys to all have a really solid relationship to your agency and your ability to make choices in your life and your ability to steer your life in a good direction. So that is that Tarot for Love and Relationships. I'm really stoked for this. Somehow I've never taught too much about this publicly, but I really do think it is a class that is needed just because love is the dominant thing that people go to the tarot for. It's so cliche, but it's so true, and I am not innocent of that either. So I'm super excited to teach about this, and I just know it'll be a total game changer for all of you who decide to sign up. Okay, so the next class is going to be Love Magic 101, and I'm teaching this the day before Valentine's Day. And I thought some of y'all probably would have plans on Valentine's Day itself, but might want to come anyway. So this is going to be super fun. This session is for you if you've done love spells that have blown up in your face and you weren't super sure why. This session is for you if you want to learn how to work with magic to attract quality suitors or hookups, if that's your thing. The session is for you if you're in a happy relationship and you'd like to work some magic to keep it good. This workshop is also for you if you've ever emailed me asking to do a spell to bring him, her, or them back to you. I get an insane amount of these emails, so everyone who has sent me one of those messages, honestly, if you don't sign up for this, I'm going to go insane. It's crazy how many people reach out to me wanting me to help them do magic to get their ex back, basically, or to make this person or that person interested in them. So if that is something you've ever even considered doing magically, or you've been tempted to email me to ask me to do it for you, or you're wondering how to do it, or you've ever been in a situation where you want to do magic to bring someone back to you, and I've been there, so I get it. Take this class and I will teach you all about that topic. But not just that, right? Like, we're going to deconstruct that a little bit, and I don't want to give spoilers, but doing that is usually, I would say 95% of the time, not the right course of action. So we'll get into it in the class. Anyway, this session is also for you if you've just had a horrible breakup, or you see one looming on the horizon and you want to know how to deal with this magically in the best way possible, whether you want the breakup or whether you don't. Session is also for you if you want to magically cut ties with your exes, whether they were super shitty or super amazing. And I add this amazing part in because sometimes idealizing a past flame can really prevent us from finding love in the present moment. Super important, super relevant, and it's something I think a lot of people really are not accountable to in regards to their energy. The session is also for you if you want to build your magical skill set and learn what materials are best used in love magic and why. This session, Love Magic 101, is also for you if you kind of feel down on yourself and want to learn how to do some magic to help you fully integrate that self-love stuff that everyone talks about. This session is also for you if you have a clear vision for the love life you want, but you aren't exactly sure how to translate that into a spell or a ritual. So in Love Magic 101, I'll be teaching all about, including but not limited to, the ethics of love spells, when they're justified and when they're not, tools and methods used in love magic, and yes, I will give specifics on this. Magic for attraction, including sexual, romantic, etc. How to become a love magnet with magic. Now that is a tongue twister. How to become a love magnet with magic. And of course, magic for self-love. Like, this is one of the most important things about love magic. I feel like so many people leave this out, and not to get dark, but back when I was raped, self-love magic, all of the Valentine's days for the first bunch of years after I was raped, so I was raped more than once, twice actually, and so both of those, interestingly, were in the winter. One was in December, one was in January, and so I always, for the years that I was really working on healing from those injuries, psychologically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, I always did a lot of self-love, self-care magic on Valentine's Day itself. And so I will be teaching about that. And I think that probably will be relevant to at least some of you. I'll also be teaching about magic to help heal heartbreak, magic to help you cut ties with and protect yourself from shitty exes, and I'll be talking about that in the protection workshop as well. Magic to reveal cheating, dishonesty, and other infidelities. Magic for breakups and all of the different ways you want to interpret that. How to not get hoodwinked by hopes and desires and to see a situation for what it is. And how to work magically with whatever the situation happens to actually be, whether that is magic bound, marriage bound, divorce bound, etc., and much more. So that's that one. I am super stoked for that. And I've never explicitly taught Love Magic 101. So I think this will be an interesting one, and I think really relevant for a lot of people. Again, I just think love is one of those areas where a lot of people either don't have a ton of self-control or easily get very triggered. And to be honest, that is very fair. It's only until pretty recently that I was able to step out of that space. So no judgment, totally get it. And I do have a ton of stuff to share with you guys around working with magic to support yourselves through whatever love-related stuff you're going through, whether that is you dealing with your own self-love relationship with yourself, or whether that is, you're dating and things are interesting. I'll put it that way. So, all right, the last one I'll be teaching in this little learning series is Protection Magic 101, and this has been a long time coming. And this shit is so important. A lot of people think protection magic is very boring, or it's, I can put that off. I can just never do that. And that's totally fair. You can do whatever the hell you want. But if you find yourself exhausted all the time, if you're not too sure why, and all the medical causes have been ruled out, if you feel disconnected from yourself, your spirit team, the place where you live, if you feel overwhelmed by other people's energy really, really easily, chances are you would benefit from this spiritual magical hygiene, aka Protection Magic 101. So, of course, protection magic can be worked with in a kind of day-to-day type of sense, and I will be teaching that in this class. But protection magic, I've also done exorcisms, right? And that's not something I talk about a ton, but it is something that I have definitely done. My specialty is more around exorcism of places and working with the spirits who have passed, who are chilling out in that space, who might be unwanted, either doing exorcisms around that specifically and or figuring out ways that, actually an exorcism isn't exactly what's needed. This is just your dead Uncle Bob, and he is just a little bit grumpy because you're ignoring him. There's lots of different ways that we can work with protection and healing and all of these types of magic to figure out what is the situation right now. Is this actually a bad situation where there's a nasty spirit coming to fuck with us? Usually that's not the case. Or is this the case of just a misunderstanding? Or is this a case of someone sending the evil eye? I've actually had that happen to me as well. One time about 11 years ago now, before a surgery actually. And so I got super sick before my surgery because someone was sending me the evil eye, as far as that's what I'm attributed to anyway, because it was so random. And I almost had to miss my surgery because of that. So there's so many different ways to work through these various external vibes that are coming towards us, especially the vibes that are negative, and learning how to protect ourselves from all of that is super important. Obviously, can every bad thing be protected from? Not necessarily. Life is life. Life is gonna life. Things are gonna happen. We are all gonna experience heartbreak and drama in our lives at some point. But protection magic does give us that extra layer of protection at all times, right? Super important. And so this session, Protection Magic 101, is for you if you want to learn all about these spiritual ways to protect yourself, your home, and your loved ones. And especially if you know or have got the inkling that spiritual protection is really important, but you're not super sure where to begin or how to begin. And maybe you want to learn how to work with your spirit team, whether that's your dead Grandma Betty, God, Aphrodite, Archangel Michael, or some combination of the above, whatever spirits or energies you believe in. Whoever you feel walks with you or that you want to connect with to help keep you safe. That is something I'll be teaching. If you feel like something is missing from your witchy work, as another tongue twister, and you can't quite put your finger on exactly what it is, I've got a hunch that for most people, protection magic is going to be the thing that's missing. And so in this session, I'll be teaching all about why protection magic is the most important part of spiritual hygiene. And it's also the thing that's most neglected by the average witch. It's the biggest problem that I see when I work with people. I'll be teaching how to incorporate protection magic into your daily life without having it be this massive hassle. It absolutely can be seamless. I'll be teaching about must-have tools for protection magic and how to build your protection magic toolkit. I'll be teaching about protection magic on the go and how to protect yourself when you're traveling, whether that's commuting to work or going on a trip around the world. I'll be teaching about the whys and the hows of how to protect not just your own apartment and home, but your entire block. I will be teaching about aggressive shielding and using magic to displace harmful people. Sometimes magic is our main defense mechanism, and so I will be talking about that. I'll also be teaching about working with your spirit team so they can help protect you. And this is going to include teachings on visualization and talismanic magic. These are both incredibly important to all of this. And so those are the 3 pieces in my winter learning series that's coming up next month. Super excited about this. Super excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I do think a lot of this stuff is very relevant right now as we ease into Valentine's Day season. And as always, there is a deal for people who sign up for all 3 and a payment plan option for those who sign up for all 3. If you want to learn more, feel free to email me, ceo@sabrinamscott.com. You can send me an Instagram message @SabrinaMScott. And if you just want to click the buy button, which I love you if that's the case, go on over to sabrinamscott.com/WLS for Winter Learning Series, WLS, all lowercase letters. The link will be in the description of this episode. And you can click whatever purchasing buttons your heart desires. And that is my cat, Awaz, also inviting you to sign up for a workshop or 2 or 3. So I hope to see you there. I'm really excited for it. And of course, keep your eyes on the lookout for my membership that's going to be launching in February. So that's it for now, my friends. Much love, and I hope you guys are still feeling these lovely full moon vibes that currently I am percolating in, and I'm loving it. All right, friends, that's it for now. Talk to you soon. Bye.